Hello, everyone. It is my honor to respond to the Governor General's request that I form a government. And it's a solemn duty to serve as Prime Minister at this time of great consequence for our country. The ceremony we just witnessed reflects the wonder of a country built on the bedrock of three peoples: Indigenous, French, and British. The opening and closing prayers evoke the original stewards of this land. They remind us of the deep roots from which we grow and underscore the values to which we aspire. The office of the Governor General links us through the Crown and across time to Canada's proud British heritage. Et la cérémonie s'est déroulée.
Now, the ceremony took place in both official languages. Our bilingual identity makes us unique, and the French language enriches our culture.
On these foundations, Canadians have built a dynamic nation that celebrates its diversity, that cares for the vulnerable in society, and that always strives for a better tomorrow. Ce nouveau cabinet.
This new cabinet is fully aware of our responsibilities and our duties to strengthen the foundation of our nation and to make, during this crisis, and to build a better Canada. I have the great pleasure to present to you today this highly qualified team that will be my government and which will defend the values that we cherish so much here in Canada. Our government will change the way we work. It will focus on what is crucial and adopt an approach based on action to deal with the challenges that we currently face.
Canada's new government is changing how we work so we can deliver better results faster to all Canadians. We have new ministers with new ideas, ready to respond to new threats and to seize new opportunities. Canada's new government is focused on the things that matter most to Canadians: growing more higher-paying jobs, improving affordability, and making Canada more secure. Canada's new government will be action-oriented, driven by a smaller but highly experienced team made to meet the moment we are in. Our leaner cabinet will focus on two priorities in particular. First, protecting Canadian workers and their families in the face of unjustified foreign trade actions. And second, growing this great country by putting more money in Canadians' pockets, by ensuring that government spends less so Canada can invest more, by building millions of homes, by making Canada a superpower in both conventional and clean energies, by creating new trade corridors with reliable partners, and by forging one Canadian economy out of 13. We will relentlessly pursue this positive agenda because Canadians know that negativity isn't strength. They know that negativity won't pay the rent or the mortgage. The negativity won't bring down the price of groceries. Negativity won't win a trade war. We know that by building together, we can give ourselves far more than anyone else can take away. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous.
We are masters in our own home. Our country is Canada strong, and our government is united and strong as well. We will get down to work right away with our first cabinet meeting.
Is Canada strong? Our government is united and strong, and we will immediately get to work with our first cabinet meeting as soon as I respond to a few of your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Merci, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Nous allons maintenant passer à une période de questions de 15 minutes. On va prendre une question suivie. We'll now do a 15-minute question period. One question, one follow-up. Merci.
Bon Fillon de TVA. Bonjour, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Juste ici. Okay. Enchanté. Vous allez vous rendre en Europe au cours des prochains jours. Est-ce que vous comptez également aller aux États-Unis rencontrer M. Trump avant de déclencher des élections?
J'ai reçu une invitation de Monsieur le Président de la France afin d'avoir une conversation sur plusieurs enjeux, des enjeux commerciaux, des enjeux qui concernent la sécurité d'Europe, l'Ukraine, la sécurité du Canada. J'ai bien reçu une autre invitation de Monsieur le Premier ministre du Royaume-Uni. Alors, c'est une bonne idée d'y aller parce qu'il faut que nous diversifions nos partenaires commerciaux et renforcer notre sécurité. J'aurai, j'espère, une conversation avec Monsieur le Président des États-Unis, mais je n'ai pas un plan pour le moment d'y aller. Merci. I received the questions on a trip to Paris and London in a few days. I received an invitation from the President of France to discuss a variety of issues, both economic, commercial, to reinforce those relationships, also issues related to security in Europe, in Canada. Similar discussions will be had with the Prime Minister in the United Kingdom. This is sensible. Security is a priority for this government, reinforcing our security, as is diversifying our trading and commercial relationships. Of course, with both Europe and the United Kingdom, there are many opportunities. And as I said a moment ago in my remarks, there are historic ties. With respect to the President, I don't have plans to go to the United States. I look forward to speaking to him at the appropriate moment. Thank you.
Monsieur Carney, il y a Monsieur Rubio.
Mr. Marco Rubio this morning in Charlevoix repeated what Donald Trump has been saying. He has repeated that Canada, economically speaking, would be better as the 51st state. As Prime Minister of Canada, how would you respond to what the Secretary of State said in Canada? It's amazing. It's mad. It's just outrageous. That's it. Outrageous. Mad.
It's crazy. His point is crazy. That's it.
Question?
Yeah.
Hi, Prime Minister Tom Perry with CBC. Can I ask you what your plans are for the next few weeks? Are you going to be bringing back the House? Are you going to be calling an early election? And if so, when should Canadians expect to go to the polls?
Well, they certainly should expect to go to the polls before November. The news today is behind me. An exceptional group of individuals who are serving Canada, united, focused cabinet, focused on action, focused on the issues for Canadians. We're, as I said a moment ago, we will be going to take some decisions which directly meet some of the objectives I set out in my remarks and we've been discussing. That's the news for today. There will be other news in the coming days with respect to ensuring that we have as strong a mandate that is needed for the time. Thank you.
And when you're in Europe, are you going to be seeking assurances from Canada's allies that this country will never become America's 51st state? And when would it be an appropriate time for you to take that message to the U.S. President?
Well, I've been clear, personally I've been clear, the ministers behind me, I think to an individual, when asked, have been clear that we will never, ever, in any way, shape, or form, be part of the United States. America is not Canada. Look at the ceremony we just had. You could not have had that ceremony. You would not have that ceremony in America. Look at the cabinet behind me. You would not have that cabinet in America. You do not have that cabinet in America. We are a very fundamentally different country. So, irrespective of any issues economically, fundamentally to our core, to our identity, is one reason why we have a minister, and I will thank Monsieur Guilbeault to be our Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture and bringing in all those aspects and reinforcing them. So before we get to the economics of it, we won't be part of it. And when we get to the economics, then the president is a successful business person and deal maker. We're his largest client in so many industries. As the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Industry, Monsieur Leblanc and Monsieur Champagne, have made this point, and clients expect respect and working together in a proper commercial way. So the nature of Canada means we won't. The economics means we shouldn't. And what you will see from this government is focusing on building here at home, building with different partners abroad, and that will reinforce the point. It's good. We're doing it for our own reasons, to be clear, for our own people, for the high-paying jobs. But eventually, the truth will out, and the Americans will understand as well. Thank you.
Our allies, sir, do you want to...
I don't think we need. I don't think we need to hear it from. Nous sommes maîtres. We're masters in our home. We're in charge. You know, we're in charge. It's always nice when people say nice things about you, but we don't need it. We're not seeking it. What the discussions I will have on behalf of the government in Paris and in London will relate to opportunities that both our countries share, as well as our shared history.
Monsieur le Premier ministre, Valérie Gamache de Radio-Canada, enchantée.
Radio-Canada.
Vous n'avez pas de ministre.
Pleased to meet you. You don't have a minister from Alberta. Do you think this is because you intend to run in an Albertan riding yourself? Is that why? Well, you're quite right. I did grow up in Alberta. I launched my campaign in Edmonton. It's not the time now to announce where I intend to run. Next question, please.
I'm complimenting the journalist from Radio-Canada, and I would like to compliment the very existence of Radio-Canada, and I'd like to reinforce that my government would be reinforcing. It goes back to Canadian identity, culture. This is away from the news, but the broader sense. So I'll finish the answer. I compliment the question. She's recognizing that I grew up in Alberta. I launched my campaign in Alberta. I'm just reinforcing today. Today, the story is behind me, and there will be more news because those behind me will be taking some important decisions this afternoon.
Monsieur Carney, depuis le début de votre
Mr. Carney, since the start of your speech, you've mentioned official languages 3 times, but official languages is not part of Mr. Guilbeault's title, and you've replaced heritage by Canadian identity. Is that a message for Quebec? No. What we're trying to do is to strengthen our identity. The French language is essential to our Canadian identity. Mr. Guilbeault has been an exceptional minister, but he now has the responsibility for official languages. But the question of our Canadian identity is much broader than just our official languages. It's much broader than our heritage. We have to strengthen Canadian identity. We're still building it, and that includes, and this is key, I think, the Canadian identity includes nature. And one of Mr. Guilbeault's responsibilities is to bring our responsibilities together as it pertains to oceans, biodiversity, nature, and to protect them and to promote them as well.
Prime Minister Carney, first off, congratulations.
Thank you.
Second, David Baxter, Canadian Press. April 1st is fast approaching, the date the consumer carbon tax is set to increase once again. You've talked about getting rid of it. How are you going to do it in the next 2 weeks?
Your question, how are we going to do it by the end of the day? That's a great question, and we'll come right back to you on that following the cabinet meeting.
In that order?
You have a better follow-up than that.
Oh, there is a better follow-up, but just to get clarification, you are going to do it by
then that would be
cabinet
3
order?
questions, and everyone else will get angry.
There we go. We'll go back to it. So you've talked about Trump needing to show Canada respect.
President Trump.
President
yes.
Trump, yes, President Trump needing to show Canada respect. You said that again just now. Are you not going to speak with President Trump until he cuts out this 51st state talk?
No. I look forward to speaking with President Trump. Just to be clear, we respect the United States. We respect President Trump. President Trump has has put some very important issues at the top of his agenda. We understand his agenda. We understand the importance of addressing the scourge of fentanyl, which is a challenge here in Canada as well as the United States. And I would say that the measures that have been put in place in recent weeks in Canada and Mexico, also the United States, means that we are making tremendous progress. I'll speak specifically against fentanyl. We understand the importance President Trump places on American workers and American jobs. We want him and his administration to understand the importance we put on Canadian workers and Canadian jobs. And we will look for avenues to work together so that both objectives are met in terms of both our great economies, just as we are doing, and the people behind me have led this, just as we are doing with respect to the scourge of fentanyl. Thank you.
Prochaine question. Next one.
Hi, Prime Minister Carney. I'm Jillian Piper with Global News. I understand that your assets have been put into a blind trust. I wanted to ask you, what is the value of the assets and where did they come from? How can Canadians know that there's no conflict of interest if they don't know where the assets come from?
That's an odd question, or odd way of framing it. The assets are in a blind trust. So, and can I point out that for those who don't follow this, I have 6 months to put, or 120 days to put the assets in a blind trust. I already have put the assets in a blind trust. And once assets are in a blind trust, you don't know, but by definition, you don't know the assets because the trustees take over the responsibility. I would like to reassure you that the assets that I have were earned through employment income, employment as a public servant, and employment in the private sector. And I would note as well that employment in the private sector is something that the leader of the opposition has never experienced. And I would point as well that complying or meeting standards expected of a leader of a party, let alone a prime minister, is something that the leader of opposition has not respected either. And I'm speaking directly with respect to his refusal, still at a time of great crisis, to get his security clearance, something I managed to do in 2 weeks. En ce qui concerne mes actifs,
well, in terms of my assets,
j'ai eu des jobs dans le secteur.
as you know, I've worked in the private sector, in the public sector, in the public service, and I now have assets from that activity that have been put in a blind trust. I no longer know what the makeup of those assets are. That's number one. That's the first point, rather.
Mes affaires dans une position en ce qui concerne la fiducie avec.
So I no longer have responsibility for those assets, but I've taken steps before I became Prime Minister to put these assets in a blind trust. In fact, I have 120 days to do this. That's what the law says, and the opposition leader is still unable and refuses. In fact, they can probably do it, but he's refused to do it. To get his security clearance. It's taken him 3 years and he still hasn't got it. That's completely outrageous in my view.
Prime Minister, you keep pointing at the group behind you, your new cabinet. There's only 2 representatives from the West. What's your message to Western Canada?
So the numbers in the cabinet are all necessarily smaller because the cabinet is much smaller. And the cabinet is much smaller because it's focused on the issues that are most important to Canadians, meeting the moment, and the moment is a moment of crisis. We have very capable, exceptional members from Western Canada in there, as well as deputies from the West. But it's a factor when you reduce things down. And I'm Prime Minister of all of Canada, of course, and I'm from the West. And I would note maybe as well, and this is a challenge I think we have. I'll just make a general point. Let's take an example of Chrystia Freeland. Okay, exceptional minister, exceptional public service. Chrystia Freeland lives in Toronto. Chrystia Freeland is from the West. Chrystia Freeland is from Alberta. But people get classified in a way that limits the breadth of experience. I could give you many examples of the pan-Canadian nature of this cabinet.
Last question and follow-up. Dernière question et question suivie.
Ramsey with the Toronto Star. Prime Minister, Speaking of your cabinet, the front line of your cabinet and the vast majority of your cabinet were all ministers during Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's time. How does this represent change?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is this first thing, smaller cabinet, more focused on action. Everybody in this cabinet is senior. Everybody in this cabinet is senior, so I don't accept the front line and the implication that there's a front line and another line. The second thing is one of the top issues, of course, is the crisis with respect to the United States and the opportunity with respect to trade diversification. So keeping together those individuals who have been on, and now I'm going to use your term, the front line, but the front line in a commercial battle, keeping together those individuals so that we are seamlessly addressing these issues and seizing the opportunities was very important to us, and that's reflected in the cabinet. But of course, it's reflected fundamentally in their capabilities, which are here for the moment.
And on President Trump, what makes you think you personally would be better fit to handle him than Trudeau was, and why do you think he'll have more respect for you than he did for him?
Look, I'm not going to put myself into to represent that President Trump in any way, shape, or form. President Trump and I, though, we share some experiences. I have been in the private sector. I have worked in the real estate sector. I have done large transactions. I have worked with him during his first presidency at the G20, at the G7. I respect what he is looking to accomplish. And we have built a base through the interactions that we've had, including as of yesterday with the meetings of the Minister of Finance, well, I'll say, because their roles have slightly changed, Monsieur Champagne and Monsieur Leblanc, and Premier Ford with the Secretary of Commerce, as well as the meetings that the Minister of Foreign Affairs had with her G7 counterparts, including Secretary Rubio. So we are building that base. But in many respects, part of my experience overlaps with that of the president. We'll both be looking out for our countries. But he knows, and I know from long experience, that we can find mutual solutions that win for both.
Thank you.
Sur Monsieur Trump, s'il vous plaît.
Ça, c'est, en ce qui concerne M. Trump,
With regards to President Trump, well,
lui et moi, nous avons des expériences
we
similaires
have
dans le secteur privé.
shared experience in the private sector. For example,
le secteur immobilier.
Investment in the real estate sector, for example. I know him, and I have worked with him.
Il était chef d'État pendant son premier mandat.
Or for him, because he was head of state during his first mandate in order to resolve issues at the G20. What's important is that Canada has made progress in discussions held with Mr. Champagne, Mrs. Joly, Mr. Champagne, with their counterparts, Mr. Leblanc as well. So there's a basis that exists. We need to find solutions.
Thank you. This was an
Thank you.
press conference.